Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. Today's repots are for different reasons, but they're both Miltoniopsis. This one I got from Burnham's, basically because when I walked past it in the nursery, in the growing areas, not in the sales area, it looked like quite a healthy plant. The chances are it's more than one. The chances are it's one that Sarah bought to sell, and it didn't sell. However, that label on it is not one of Sarah's. So I don't know whether this was donated. Well, that's not one of Sarah's labels. That's a ordinary person's type label. But this is actually an awarded plant. It's Miltoniopsis Red Knight Grail, and we've got an RHS award and an AOS, so that's an American Orchid Society, so that's been awarded both sides of the ocean, apparently. Well, according to that, I've got no evidence, but, you can look it up if you like. But the reason this one's getting repotted, it looks like it's in bark, so it ought to be okay, but it's stopped growing. Whenever a Miltoniopsis shows signs above ground, the chances are there's something already gone wrong below ground. So that's that one. And then the other tiny little one I'm going to do is this primary cross. This is Miltoniopsis Venus, and it's a cross between Vexillaria and Phalaenopsis. Yes, there is a Miltoniopsis called Phalaenopsis. Oh, I was going to say, I thought I'd be Mojo again, but it's the kit behind me, the fan creaks when it oscillates. Getting old like me. This one's getting repotted because it's got some cocoa husk in it, and looking at the date it was potted up in that, it could do with changing. It's got a good root system. There's nothing wrong with this root system. However, the latest new growth didn't push a spike up. So it was a little warning shot. So we'll take this one out first because this should just lift out, as it will. It's going to go in a size bigger pot. And I want to do as little disturbance to these roots as possible, so I'm hoping that just by gently squeezing, media will fall out. Most of the roots are around the outside and the bottom, so in theory if I put my thumb up through the bottom, we can then tease it all out through the hole in the bottom. Now in this particular case, I don't want to disturb these roots too much. Nowadays I think of Miltoniopsis like I would a Zygopetalum, so minimum root damage. Try not to crush them, try not to bend them and break them. They're fragile. Yeah? I just want to try and get as much of this cocoa husk out as I can. You have to work on a percentage, if the media had 80% cocoa husk in it and you can remove half of it, it's only got 40% cocoa husk. And then it's going to go in a bigger pot with a different media. So the percentage of the cocoa husk that's left, that is probably starting to go acidic, is minimal. But, you've got the option, well, you can get it all out if you like, but then you're going to damage quite a few of the roots, which I don't want to do. Just going to try and tease these ones that have gone around the bottom of the pot. I'd like to try and tease those gently so that they will go into the new media. There we go, that's all I'm going to do with that. As I said, there's still some cocoa husk in there, but it's not the end of the world because it's not a huge amount. So that's that little one done. It will go back in a bigger pot than that, not that one. And this one has never been out of its pot since I got it, and it's in a black pot. So this is pot luck, what's in here. I haven't got a clue. Let me just let Mojo in. He's been out in the sunshine. It's nice out there in the sunshine, but it's not warm. It's quite a cold morning. So it was down to sort of 5 degrees last night, maybe 6, but quite cool. But the sun's coming round, the sun will be on the sofa soon. I'm going to sit on there. It's got a couple of rotten bits there, but not too much. Not enough to cry over. Right, I think this is just suffering from old media, really, tired media. Don't think there's anything dramatically wrong with it, although none of these roots are active. None of them have growing tips on them. I was going to say, and what we could do with is these last lots of new growths didn't mature properly. So what we could do with is some new ones starting, you know, that will then push down roots into the new media and hopefully mature properly and possibly push a bloom out, because I haven't seen the blooms on this yet. Yeah, there are signs of new growths at the base. So hopefully we can get this going again. It's just lost its vigour basically. Now that could have been as a response to going in that pot. But these are not dead roots, they're okay, they'll do. So the only thing I want to do is take that, there's a rotten bit near the base there that I want to take off. Well, probably half the roots will be gone, but oh, not too bad. Yeah, so it is one plant, that I'm surprised at. But as I said, this doesn't seem like your normal bought in plant. It seems different. Right, I've got to get the polystyrene chips out of there. Well, actually, I don't have to now. See, all this waste used to go out on the garden, up in the back edge there, but it's getting too much now with the bonsai repotting as well. There's just too much going up in there. It's going to be up over the fence. So I'm actually bagging it up now, so it goes to the recycling. And the fact that it's going to the recycling, that needs to go separate. Oh, he just cries all the time. Cries before he goes up the stairs, cries when he gets up there. The only time he seems at peace is when he's asleep. Right, not a lot of mess to clear up here. Quite honestly, I could just carry on and not bother. But I'll just put that in the bag and I need to get some pots sorted out, because the tiny one, the Venus, is going in a bigger pot, and the other one it needs a pot because it's obviously not going to go back in a black one. I want to be able to see what's going on. So I'll just have a quick clear up. I'll probably say it again in my Sunday chat tomorrow, but people have suggested, with the best will and intent, that I should go out and get another cat as company for Mojo. All the professional websites I've been to, RSPCA, PDSA, various veterinary associations, they all say no. They do not suggest it as a good idea, especially if it's an elderly cat that was bonded with the one that's lost, because they will reject that friendship. And obviously a young cat, Mojo, you don't see it. He's, you know, smiley fluffy cat, well, he once was, but out in the garden he's not. If there's any cats come anywhere near, he's incredibly aggressive to other cats, and in a confined space like indoors, especially when I'm not necessarily here all the time, I wouldn't be prepared to leave him with a small cat, you know, with a kitten. So no other cat. The advice from the professionals is don't do it. Now I know some people may have done it successfully, blah blah blah, but you know, I'm not doing it. So that's that. You see, my two bonded. They had the odd hiss and spit as they walked through a narrow space. One was in the middle in the way, but you know, they grew up together. They spent 18 plus years together. Hannah got another cat for her one for company, because she spends you know, she works long hours, you know, many days of the week, and so she got it for company. They don't get on, they never have. they're not friends. They fight, they hiss and they spit, and they don't tolerate each other very well at all. That's the risk you take. I'm not taking the risk. Right, so we will do the small one first. Now this is going in that. It's only a slightly bigger pot. It's not much bigger, and the roots will still be quite tight. But we'll see how it does. If it starts to grow on and push out lots of new growths, then it can be potted on. But if not, you know, if it's not growing much at all, which it isn't at the moment, then it will be fine in the small pot. Now this is media that's already been mixed up. It's small bark, perlite, and there's still bits of moss in it. Not much. So that's just going to come out to play again. I'll take the larger bits of moss off and put them in the water to make sure they've at least got moisture on them. Now this one, I'll separate a bit out, because this one is a small pot, and to make sure there's moss around the roots, it's got to be broken up quite small. So we will tear this up into small pieces so that it will get into all parts of the pot. This business of folding it in round the sides can't really be done in such a tiny pot. You would end up with a huge hole in the middle for a start. So we will break some up quite small so that it really is integrated into the mix. Right. Now what we'll have to do with this is the hole in the middle. Let's just get some in there first. I'm not going to bother crocking, this is too small a pot to worry about doing that sort of thing. But I am going to try and get some of this up in the middle. It will be difficult after it goes in the pot. So we'll get that up in and around there. And then what I'm going to do this time, instead of putting the plant in the pot, I'm going to put the pot on the plant so that that lot doesn't fall out. There we go. Managed to keep it in its place. Now it's just a matter of gently getting some down the sides. And it is a gently. Just to make sure that the roots are in contact. Miltoniopsis, it's never a good idea to bury the base of the pseudobulbs. They can be prone to rot. The problem is that it's the cloud forest environment where you've got this constant airflow, and even though the plants are constantly wet, they're wet with fresh water or rain, and as a consequence everything's clean, so the rot doesn't really happen. Right, how are we doing there? Yeah, that's okay. We've got no big air gaps or anything, and we've now got some moss in a fresh media that hopefully, you see this new growth here that pushed out sideways, that should have bloomed and it didn't. The other new growth I've got is coming up the middle here, and I'm not sure whether that's still growing or not, but we shall find out. But, beautiful little flowers on that one, and it goes back in the same black pot as well, and it's got its own proper tag. Trouble is I wanted to get so much on the tag, it's a giant tag for such a small pot. Anyway, that's that one done. Right, now hopefully I've got enough left once I fold all this moss in to do this rather larger pot. So now this can be folded in from the sides, it can be done, that method will work fine for a pot this size. Just break this up a little bit. There's quite long strands on this moss. This isn't the triple A grade, but it is a quality grade of the New Zealand sphagnum. as you get to the high grade, you've got the really long strand, chunky stuff, which people use to wrap round their neophonetias, which I haven't got any of. Right, so we'll get some in the bottom. And we'll put this in. No need to worry about getting the media into the centre. Now I've got a new growth there showing. I suspect there are new growths under these sheaths at the base, but these are proving difficult to get off. And again, I don't want to do damage to the stems of these growths by forcing the sheaths off. So some of them will have to stay. But looking at where the new growths are and predicting where the next lot of new growths are going to be, this needs to go in the centre of the pot. So we gently fold in the sides, and on the other side, gently fold in the sides. There's 4 sides. Seems strange talking about sides in a round pot. But if you come at it from 4 angles, shall we say, the 4 quarters, you can, because you're putting a handful in at a time, you can almost guarantee that you've got the lot. You haven't left any gaps. I'm just checking the depth of the plant. Don't bury the base. Just touching will do. Right. Tidy up those loose bits, and that'll do. Now both of those will get a water, just water, they don't need anything else for now, and then we'll see what they do. And the black pot that this one came out of is just the right size for that. I did have a label for that, didn't I? How strange. It's just that is like an amateur's label, an ordinary person growing orchids would write a label like that. It's pencil on white, and it hasn't even got Miltoniopsis written on it, so it's somebody who knows instantly it's a Miltoniopsis and doesn't need to write it down. It also strikes me it's not somebody that would put a plant in a show, because that label's no good for a show. Right. But it's perfectly all right for this one at the moment. Right, there we go, that's that done. And again, I will collect this up and put it back in the bag. There's nothing wrong with it, and it will come out next time. I'm down to about half of that. This is compacted. It's fluffy on the top because I've been pulling at it. But I've used about half. And looking at the repotting I've got left to do, there's quite a few of the plants on that list that won't have any moss. I've got quite a few large dendrobiums to do. They don't need any moss. I've got 2 cymbidiums to do. They don't need any moss. So I'm pretty sure this bag's going to be enough to get the potting done. But when I move on to the mounts and start thinking about replacing the old moss or the live moss that's died, which I think I need to do, then I might not have enough. But that's not happening on the mounts until I see growth, and therefore the ability for new roots to form. A lot of my mounts are not looking good at the moment, and they're still not showing signs of basal growth. So we've got to get them going first. Anyway, that's 2 Miltoniopsis done. That's another pair that went together. And not the same media, but similar enough to be done together. There's 2 oncidiums to do, 2 species oncidiums, actual real oncidiums, not intergenerics. They'll both go in this type of media, and not so much moss, but they will still have some, and they'll be done as a pair, and that may well be the next pair that I do. It depends on the stage they're at. I know one of them's got new growths, but I'm not sure about the other one. We shall see. Anyway, a repot done. If you're watching this and it's your first time to the channel, welcome. And it would be nice if you're not subscribed to actually subscribe to the channel and help the channel grow. And don't forget the old thumbs up, that's free. Costs you nothing. And again, it helps the channel be seen to be, you know, growing. So anyway, I shall see you tomorrow for the Sunday chat. And I will see you tomorrow for the Sunday chat, because I thought about going to the Bonsai Expo, but it's 110 miles each way, and coming home will be in heavy traffic because it's a Sunday and it's the end of the school holidays. The roads will be very busy, and I'm not happy about that. And then I thought it's not really fair to leave Mojo all day. So I changed my mind. I will be staying at home, and I shall probably stay at home for things like full days out for an amount of time, undetermined, because I think that's the best way to go forward. See you tomorrow. Thanks for dropping by.